The grave should have been quiet. It always was. Marigolds planted tight along the edge, faded now from heat and neglect. He'd meant to come last week. Didn't. Came today instead. Shouldn't have. Someone was already there, kneeling, back turned, denim jacket, dark braid, hands in the soil, placing lilies one by one like they meant something. Eli stopped. No birds, no wind, just the scrape of her hand in the dirt. "That's your truck?" he asked. She didn't look back. "No." "You're on private land." She kept planting. It was open. "That doesn't mean it's yours." She placed the last lily, pale, clean, wrong. "Who are you?" he said. The girl stood slowly, turned. I looked at him without flinching. "She was my mother." Eli's stomach folded. "You say what?" She nodded toward the stone. "Ruth Lanton died 22 years ago. She was my mother." He stepped forward, jaw clenched. "Is that your idea of a joke?" "No joke." "She didn't have a daughter." "She did." He pulled the revolver without thinking. It shook in his grip. "Back away from there." She didn't move, didn't blink. "You gonna shoot me for planting flowers?" I said back up. She stepped aside, calm, eyes still locked on him. "She hated marigolds. You know that, right?" Eli's voice cracked. "What's your name?" "June." He stared at her, tried to read the mouth, the nose, the shape around her eyes. "I saw nothing. I saw too much." "She never said nothing about you," he muttered. "She couldn't." "Why not?" "She wasn't allowed." Eli's throat tightened. "She died here, on this land, in this house, with me. Number she disappeared here, and nobody asked why." The wind shifted. The cemetery gate creaked open behind him, an empty road beyond. Still no birds. "She got sick," Eli said. "Went quiet. Wouldn't eat. She was locked in." "That's a lie." June's voice was steady. "The sheriff told my father she ran off, said she wasn't right, said she burned herself." Eli's mouth opened, closed. "I believed that for years," she said, "until I found her photo on his desk, a wedding dress, this grave. She never told me nothing about another man." "She wouldn't have. She knew how it'd end." "You don't know what you're saying." "I do." "You're confused." "I'm not." He lowered the gun just an inch. "How old are you?" 21. "That's impossible. I was born 2 months before she died." "She died in her sleep." June looked down at the lilies. "She died alone, in a locked room, with your name on her neck." Eli looked at the stone. His chest felt cold. "She used to sing," June said. "Off key. Loud." He blinked. "She had a scar on her left wrist." He blinked again. "She called herself a house without windows." Eli stepped back. The grave felt smaller. "The ground is uneven." "I asked him once," she continued, "why did she never come back? He looked me dead in the eye and said, 'Some places don't let women leave.' I never heard her." Eli whispered, "Number you just let it happen." "She wanted to stay. I asked her. She said she'd stay." "She didn't stay. She got buried." Eli turned away, hand still clutching the gun, knuckles white. June moved beside the grave, adjusted one lily, pressed the soil. "She didn't want marigolds. They remind her of sickness. Hospitals." "I didn't know that." "You didn't ask." He looked at her again. "Why come now?" "I got a letter. No return address. Just said, 'Look for Ruth Lanton. The truth's buried in her flowers.'" Eli swallowed. "You come for the truth." "I came for her." He nodded barely. "And now?" June stood, brushed off her jeans. "Now I need to know what really happened. There's things better left." "Dead." He winced. "She's not dead," June said. "Not all the way." Eli looked past her, toward the ridge. The barn roof sagged like a bent spine. The house beyond it leaned left, crooked windows like tired eyes. "You don't belong here," he said. "I do. She was my wife. She was my mother." They stared. Then Eli said it, quiet, like it hurt. "Say it again." June didn't move, didn't blink. "She was my mother," she said. "Too." Eli kept the gun pointed, but the tremble had moved to his elbow. She didn't blink, didn't flinch. Same shape of jaw, same left-dipping eye. It wasn't just the look, it was the stillness. That was Ruth's stillness. "You're coming with me," he said. "Where?" "Sheriff will sort it. I didn't break anything." "You broke the peace." She stepped back, hands raised. You think I made her my mother for fun? Eli motioned her toward the truck. Get in. She hesitated. You gonna shoot me if I say no? I don't bluff. He watched her slide into the passenger seat like she belonged there, like it wasn't strange, like it wasn't wrong. He slammed the door behind her, climbed in the driver's side, tossed the revolver between them. Name again? June. Last name? I was given Fowler. He turned the key. The engine coughed, then caught. Gravel cracked under the tires. Fowler doesn't mean nothing to me, he muttered. She looked out the window. He wasn't much. Are you saying Ruth left me for him? She never had the chance. That ain't true. You sure? He gripped the wheel tighter. She got sick, that's all. June didn't answer. He glanced over. You look like her. I know. That's not a compliment. I didn't take it like one. The road narrowed. Woods thickened on either side. Rain had dried in streaks on the windshield. Does she ever talk about the porch swing? June asked. Eli stiffened. What? She said it squeaked too loud. Told him to oil it every Sunday. He never did. You could have read that somewhere. She called it her thinking chair, said it's where she decided to keep me. His stomach turned. Keep you. She didn't want to. Not at first. Don't say that. She was scared, thought he'd come for her, thought you would too. Eli's hands tightened on the wheel until the veins showed. That's not how it happened. June looked at him, calm. You got her journal. There was no journal. She kept one. No, she didn't. Under the floorboards, behind the stove. Eli didn't speak. He remembered loose wood. Hammered it shut himself. She wrote about a boy with a lisp. Said he followed her around town like a dog. That was me. She said she loved you. He glanced over. She said she hated how much. Eli's voice cracked. You weren't supposed to exist. I know. He stared at the road. I never laid a hand on her. June's voice softened. But you didn't stop the one who did. His breath hitched. That was family. That was silence. They passed the old cotton mill, rusted pipes like bones in the field. The road turned. She said your cousin wore a star like it meant something. June added. Said he thought it gave him rights over her. Stop. She said you looked the other way. I said stop. She said she'd never forgive you. Eli slammed the brakes. The truck skidded to the side. Dust rose. He faced her. Why are you really here? I want the truth. That's it. And to bury her right. She's already buried. Number, that's a tombstone. I want the truth under it. He stared. Her eyes didn't shake. You want the sheriff? He said. I want answers. You think he'll give you any? I think he'll lie. Eli shifted into gear. Then why go? Because someone's gonna feel what she felt. The tires rolled again. Trees thinned. The town came into view. Have you ever been here before? He asked. No. Then how'd you find the grave? She showed me. In dreams. That's not funny. I'm not laughing. He glanced at her hands. Dirt still under her nails. Faint red scratch on her wrist. You don't get to blame me, he said. I'm not blaming. I'm remembering. You weren't there. Neither were you. Not really. The truck rumbled past the diner. Old men turned to watch. A waitress froze with coffee mid-pour. They'll talk, he said. They already are. Eli parked near the courthouse. Stone steps, cracked window. Sheriff's truck in the back. Same as always. June looked at it. Does he still wear the same boots? Eli paused. What boots? Brown, with the silver toe caps. She hated them. Said they made him sound like a dog coming up the stairs. He stared at her. She had a bruise shaped like Texas once. She said, Did you see that one? Eli said nothing. June opened her door. Didn't wait. I walked up the steps alone. He followed, slower, gun still in the seat. At the top, she turned. He told me she died in a fire, but there wasn't any fire, was there? They didn't speak on the drive back. Heat pressed against the glass, the kind that hummed low and dry, like it never left. Eli gripped the wheel tight. June stared out across the fields. Every house they passed looked like it had secrets, the kind nobody swept clean. He turned up the gravel path, same road he'd driven Ruth down for the last time, same bent mailbox, same rusted gate. You live out here alone? June asked. Yeah. How long? Since. She nodded, said nothing. The truck stopped in front of the porch. One board hung loose where Ruth used to sit. Swing gone. Just chains now. Eli didn't move to open her door. June stepped out by herself. The house sagged, paint peeled, windows streaked. Eli unlocked the front, let it creak open slowly. The air inside was thick, stale, but not dead. She followed him through the kitchen. His boots echoed. "Are you hungry?" "No." "You sleep okay?" "No." He stared at her. "Then what do you want?" "I want to see her room." "No." "I wasn't asking." "It's locked." "Then unlock it." Eli stood still. "That part of the house is closed off." "Why?" "It's full of dust and boxes." "I don't care." He didn't answer. She pointed down the hallway. "That door on the right?" He nodded. She walked toward it. The floor groaned with each step. At the end of the hall stood a pale white door. Paint cracked near the handle. 2 padlocks, heavy, rusted. "You put those on?" she asked. "I did." "When?" "After." June placed her hand against the wood, closed her eyes. "I've dreamed of this room," she whispered. "There's a woman crying inside." Eli shifted behind her. "You need to stop. She cries every night, same words. Not like this. Not like this." "That's enough." June turned around. "Why'd you say there was a fire?" He didn't answer. "Why'd you lie?" Eli walked back toward the kitchen. "I didn't." "You told people the fire took her." He grabbed a glass from the sink. Water sputtered from the tap. "It did. But the house didn't burn. Some fires ain't flames." June stepped closer. "Tell me what happened." "She was sick." "You already said that." "She was tired." "Of what?" "Of him. Of me. Of this whole damn place." June looked around. "Did you hear her crying backs?" "Then?" "Every night." "Did you open the door?" "No." "Why not?" "Because I was weak." She nodded slowly. "That's the first true thing you've said." Eli looked at the glass in his hand. "I thought she'd get better, that she'd come back to herself." "She didn't." "No." "So you buried the room." He set the glass down. "What good would it do keeping it open?" "She's still in there." He looked at her. "That doesn't make sense." "She's stuck." Eli's voice dropped. "I watched her die, June. I sat on the other side of that door and listened to her stop breathing." "And you did nothing." "I didn't know what else to do." "You let the house swallow her." He turned away. "She never got a fire. Not even that. I wrapped her in a quilt." "That's not burial." "I couldn't carry her outside. I buried her in the bed." June's breath caught. "She didn't want to leave," he whispered. "She said this place was already hers." June stepped past him. I walked back down the hall, stared at the door again. "You got the key?" she asked. He shook his head. "You forget, or you hide it. Same thing." "I want it." Eli moved to a drawer, pulled out an old tin. Inside, 3 keys. 1 gold, 1 black, 1 rusted red. He held out the red one. June took it. Eli watched her place it into the lower lock. It stuck at first, then turned. She looked back at him. "You remember what's in there?" "No." "You sure?" "No." She opened the top lock. Let it fall. Her fingers hovered over the knob. Then she turned it. The door opened slowly. The room beyond still smelled like lavender, like something that used to be gentle. June didn't cross the threshold. Not yet. "She cried in this room for 3 nights, she said. She screamed the last one." Eli swallowed. "I know." "She's still waiting." "For what?" "To be let out." The door creaked open, slow and dry. The air was stale, thick, like a breath held too long. Eli stepped back. June crossed the threshold first. He followed behind her, shoulders tight. The room was still, exactly as it had been. Nothing burned, nothing moved, just layers of dust and time. She scanned the room like she knew it already. Faded wallpaper with blue vines, a dresser with a cracked mirror, an old wedding photo, half faded, the man's face scratched out with something sharp. "She used to hum in here," June said. "Lullabies, ones that didn't make sense." "That's just your head making things up." "She said the mirror watched her." "It's just glass." Number not to her. The bed was still made. The quilt yellowed. A single shoe sat under the chair in the corner, like it had never been picked up. June stepped toward the dresser, ran her hand across the surface, carved a line in the dust. "She wore this." "Perfume," she said, picking up a small glass bottle. "Used to tell me it came from a town that no longer existed." "She never said that to me." "She said a lot of things to you. You just didn't listen." Eli didn't argue. He watched her move like she belonged here, like it wasn't the first time. June opened the bottom drawer, found a shoebox wrapped in twine. She sat on the edge of the bed, set the box in her lap. "Don't," Eli said. "I'm going to." "You don't know what's in there." "That's why I'm opening it." He stayed quiet. She untied the string, lifted the lid. Inside were folded letters, old, soft at the creases, all addressed to A.L., all in Ruth's handwriting. June picked one, unfolded it, read silently. Her breath slowed, her jaw clenched. What does it say? She writes about someone named Anna. She says she misses her, that she dreams of holding her hand again. That was her cousin. Number it wasn't. She had a cousin named Anna. She calls her daughter. Eli blinked. She says she's sorry, that she had no choice. He stepped closer. "Let me see." She held it tight. "No. I need to—" "You had your chance." She pulled out another letter. "Read it." "She says the sheriff watches the window every night. Says she hides the letters in the stove drawer because she doesn't trust you." "That ain't true." "She says you stopped talking, that your love turned to stone. She was sick. She says you lied about her baby." Eli sat in the chair across the room. "There was never another baby." "She says she gave birth in the old barn." "That's not possible." "She says it was snowing, that the blood turned the hay red." Eli covered his face with his hands. June kept reading. "She says you buried it, without naming it." "Stop." "She says she wrote to someone named A.L. every week, that she never got an answer." "I didn't know." "You did." "Number I didn't." She pulled out the last letter. "This one is sealed, thick, heavy." She held it to her chest. "She wrote this before she died." "How do you know?" "She signs it goodbye." Eli didn't move. June looked at the envelope. "It's addressed to A.L., same initials as before." He didn't answer. "Who's A.L.?" she asked. He kept staring at the floor. "Who is it?" He looked up, voice hollow. "Not who. Where?" The road into Ashford Landing was thinner than he remembered. Trees leaned harder, grass grew longer in the cracks. The welcome sign still hung, barely. Ashford missing the D, letters sun-bleached and cracked like dry lips. They passed 3 houses before seeing anyone, and even then, it was just a figure in a rocking chair who didn't turn to look. Eli didn't speak. June hadn't said a word since they'd pulled off the highway. She held Ruth's last letter in her lap like it was warm. "You sure this is it?" she asked finally. "Yeah. Looks dead. Wasn't always." They turned left by the old gas station. Pumps rusted, windows boarded. She watched a crow pick at something behind the glass. The buildings got smaller, more broken. The church came into view. White wood blistered by sun, steeple crooked like it was bowing in shame. Where did she run to? Yeah. Why? Because no one was watching this place. Eli pulled the truck up near the steps, killed the engine. Dust settled over the windshield. "Is the preacher still here?" she asked. "Cale? Maybe." "Do you trust him?" "No." June stepped out. Her boots crunched against the gravel. She walked up the steps and pushed the door open. It didn't creak. It just gave up. Inside, it smelled of mold and dry paper. Pews lined crooked down the aisle. Bible pages torn. One hymn book lay open in the middle of the floor like someone had dropped it mid-song. "Looks abandoned," she said. "Always kind of was." June stood still in the center of the aisle. Her voice softened. She said this place made her feel clean. She was wrong. She said she wanted to be forgiven. She didn't need a church for that. June turned. She needed a way out. Eli nodded toward the back. Office was through there. They walked behind the pulpit, past the broken piano. A wooden door with chipped paint opened to a small square room. One desk, one chair, one cracked window, and a badge. It sat on the desk like it hadn't been touched in years. Dust rings around it. The star is still sharp. June moved first. I picked it up. Hold it in both hands. She wore this. No. She was with someone who did. Eli swallowed. Sheriff ran things out here. The preacher just gave the sermons. June ran her finger along the edge. This is his then. Yeah. You said she died as a preacher's wife. He looked down. She wasn't. No. She was his prisoner. Eli nodded once. You said he saved her. I lied. June didn't put the badge down. She walked over to the filing cabinet, pull it open. Empty folders, one torn Bible, and a photograph. She picked it up. "It's her," she said. Eli stepped closer. It was Ruth, younger, standing in front of the church, hands clasped, eyes hollow. Beside her, Sheriff Sam Lanton, his cousin. His smile was wrong. "She's not smiling," June said. "She never did in this place." "She looks afraid." She was. June flipped the photo over, a date, scrawled in blue ink, 5 months before she died. "She came here looking for peace," June said. "And he found her first." "He always did." June turned toward him. "And you didn't stop him." "I didn't know." "You knew." "I knew enough." June slid the badge into her coat pocket. "What are you doing?" "Keeping it." "For what?" "For the end." Eli looked around the room. "This place is poisonous." "Then why bring me?" "Because she left pieces here." June opened the drawer of the desk, pulled out a small tin. I opened it. Inside were matches, a ring, a locket. She picked up the locket. It had initials on the back. RL. She opened it. "It's me," she whispered. "What?" "She sketched me. Before I was born." Eli looked inside. A rough drawing. A girl with a braid. Same sharp eyes. June closed it. She knew I was coming. She hoped. She knew. Eli walked back toward the pulpit, stared out over the pews. She came here with faith, left with scars. She never left. No. June stepped up beside him. "Have you ever heard her sing in this room?" He nodded. "Once." "What did it sound like?" "Like she was trying to remember something she never had." June lifted the badge again. I stared at it for a long time. "You said my mother died a preacher's wife," she said quietly, "not a sheriff's whore." The church smelled of mildew and rot, but the back hallway still held something colder. Eli led the way down the narrow corridor, steps slow. June followed, one hand on the wall, the other still gripping the sheriff's badge she hadn't returned. The light faded the deeper they went. At the last door, he stopped and knocked. A voice answered, thin and cracked. "It's open." The room was small, a cot, a radio, a stack of Bibles piled beside a table. Reverend Cale sat in the far corner in a wooden rocker, hands resting on his knees. His eyes were white with fog, blinded long ago, but his head turned as they entered. "Eli," he said. "Yeah." "Took you long enough. Didn't plan to come back." "You never do." June stepped in behind Eli. Cale's head shifted. "And who's that with you?" "She's Ruth's daughter." Cale went still. His hands curled. "So it's true. Do you remember her?" "I never forgot." June stepped forward. "You knew my mother." "I baptized her. I watched her walk into this town like she thought God still lived here." "She thought you'd help her," June said. "I tried." "She died." "I know. You were the preacher. You let it happen." Cale didn't flinch. "I was the preacher, yes, but this town didn't take orders from Scripture." June held up the badge. "She ended up with this man." Cale nodded slowly. "Sam Lanton. Sheriff then. Sheriff now." Eli stepped forward. "You saw her the night she disappeared." "I heard her. Crying. Somewhere close, but not near enough." "You didn't look." "I was told not to." "By who?" "You know who." June stepped closer. "Tell me what you saw." "It was late. The sheriff's truck was behind the church. Ruth was inside it, crying, arguing, then silence." "And after?" June asked. "Next day, Sam said she left town. No trace. No questions." Eli spoke low. "You believed him?" "I knew better, but I also knew the rules." June's voice cracked. "What rules?" "Don't ask. Don't tell. Don't die." She shook her head. "She trusted you." "She shouldn't have." Eli crossed his arms. "Will he ever come back after that night?" "Once. To warn me." "Warn you about what?" "To keep my mouth shut." Cale's fingers twitched. He had his way of saying things. June stared at him. "You let him take her." "I let her disappear." "You could have stopped it." "I was blind before my eyes ever gave out." The room was still. Only the hum of the old fridge in the corner. June whispered, "She wrote letters to someone here." "To A.L. Was that you?" Cale shook his head. "Number that's not me." "Then who?" Cale hesitated. "That's a place, not a person." Eli stiffened. "Ashford Landing." Cale nodded. "She sent letters from the house?" "She tried." "Have you read any?" Number, but I held them, felt the weight of things unsaid. June looked at the badge again. She was 17 when she came here. Too young, too full of hope. She thought church meant safety. A church is just a building. Faith should have meant something. In Ashford, Cale laughed. Faith bent under the weight of guns and secrets. June's voice dropped. Did Sam hurt her? Cale didn't answer. Eli stepped in. Did he? Yes. June's breath hitched. She was pregnant when she came. I know. She gave birth in the barn. I know. You knew and still did nothing. Cale's voice trembled. I told myself she got away, that she made it out. She didn't. I know that now. Eli paced to the window, looked out at the dead yard. Is he still here? Cale nodded. Lives up on the ridge. Same truck, same smile. June clenched the badge in her hand. What happens if we go to him? Cale turned his face toward her. You won't come back the same. I'm not afraid. You should be. She stepped close to him. Why? Because he wears a badge. Because the badge doesn't mean law here. It means legacy. Eli spoke flat. We ain't asking for permission. I didn't offer it. We want the truth. Then you'll have to dig through blood to get it. June stared. That's what she did, and she died for it. Cale reached beside the chair, pulled out a torn Bible, handed it to her. She marked the passages, he said. The ones that hurt the most. June flipped through. Half the pages ripped, a dried marigold tucked inside. She tried to leave breadcrumbs, she said. She hoped someone would follow. Eli stepped forward. We're following now. Cale leaned in, voice thin as wind. Your cousin's still sheriff. He never left. And he'll kill again if you get close. The sheriff's office sat on the edge of town like it always had, square and sunburned, with 2 flags out front, one torn, one spotless. The screen door hung crooked. Dust swirled around the porch like it was waiting for something to settle. Eli parked without killing the engine. June stared out of the windshield. You don't have to go in, he said. I'm going. He's not who he used to be. She turned her head. Neither are you. Inside, the air was too cold. The hum of a fan covered nothing. The front room hadn't changed. Same wood bench, same cracked floor tile, same smell of coffee and sweat. Sam Lanton stood behind the counter, sleeves rolled, smiling, already waiting. Shotgun leaning on the wall behind him, badge pinned neat above his heart. Well, I'll be, he said, voice slow and warm. Look who finally came home. Eli didn't return the smile. We need to talk. Sam's eyes slid to June. Who's this fine-looking young thing? June stepped forward. Name's June. Sam looked her up and down, something knowing behind his grin. You new in town? No. Huh. His smile stayed steady. Got your mama's jaw. June didn't blink. You knew her? Well, sure. Ruth and I. You were the last to see her. Sam chuckled. That's one way to put it. Eli stepped between them. Don't. Sam raised both hands. Didn't say anything. You didn't have to. Sam turned to him. What is this, cousin? You bring ghosts through my door. She's Ruth's daughter. Sam paused, then smiled wider. She told you that. She showed me the letters. Well then. Sam leaned on the counter. Ain't that something? She wants answers. I bet she does. June stepped closer. You knew she didn't leave on her own. She left. She was taken. Sam shrugged. Depends on who's telling the story. I'm telling it now. He raised an eyebrow. You got a badge I don't know about? I've got the truth. Sam laughed, slow and mean. Truth doesn't hold weight in this town. It will. Your mama was fragile, kind-hearted, easy to love, easier to lose. June's voice dropped. She was 17. Old enough to fall in love, old enough to run. She ran from you. Sam's smile flickered. You don't know what she ran from. She wrote about it. That right? She said you watched her sleep. Sam looked at Eli. Are you reading bedtime stories now? She said you made her stay. She stayed 'cause nobody else wanted her. She was pregnant. Sam leaned back. Not mine. She said it was. He stared. At her. Long. Cold. She said a lot of things when she was scared. Eli spoke. We saw Cale. Oh, yeah? He remembers. Cale remembers birds that ain't there. He remembers the night you took her. A man like that talks too much. He said you came back to warn him. Sam smiled again. I'm just a friendly guy. June took out the badge. Hold it up. Does this belong to you? Still does. She kept it hidden. Then she was sentimental. She was terrified. Sam's eyes narrowed. You got her fire. I've got more than that. You think you scare me? Number, but you should know I don't scared either. Sam leaned forward. You're in my county, my walls. My name is on every page. You buried her. He nodded. And I'll bury worse. Eli's fists clenched. You talk like it's still yours. It is. June looked at him. Why did you never leave? You like being king of nothing? I like order. You like silence. He smiled again. I like peace. Peace is when nobody talks about what you did. Sam tilted his head. And what do you think I did? You erased her. No. His voice dropped. She erased herself. June stepped back. You're lying. Sam reached behind the counter, pulled out a key. I walked to the office door. You can stay, he said to her. Eli stiffened. She's leaving with me. No, cousin, she came to ask questions. I'm giving her space to ask them. Eli's voice sharpened. She's not yours to keep. Neither was Ruth, but she stayed anyway. June stared at Eli. It's all right. No. I need to hear it from him. You don't. I do. Sam pushed the door open. Come on in. June stepped forward. Eli grabbed her arm. Don't. I'll be fine. You won't. She looked at him, soft and clear. That's not your call. She walked inside. Sam followed, turned the key behind her. The lock clicked. Eli stood frozen on the other side. The hum of the fan is louder now. The smile on Sam's face never left. The door clicked behind her. She didn't turn, just listened. His boots stepped back. His keys jingled. The latch settled into place like a breath held too long. June faced the room. Same wallpaper. Little blue flowers faded to gray. Same lace curtain yellowed and stiff. Same wooden chair in the corner, facing nothing. The bed was made. Quilt folded sharp. Pillow untouched. You redecorate for every girl you lock up? She asked. Behind the door, he chuckled. Only the special ones. June stepped to the window. It was nailed shut, warped at the corners. Heat pressed against the glass. Your mama used to sit just there, Sam said. Said the light helped her think. Think about what? Escape. June ran a finger along the wall. Dust clung. You always knew she wanted out. She was a dreamer. She was your prisoner. Sam didn't answer. You keep her clothes, too. She burned them. She didn't burn anything. He laughed again, softer now. You got her fired, but fire doesn't work on stone. You think you're stone. I think I'm what's left when everyone else runs. June turned. I walked to the dresser. 3 drawers. Only the middle one opened. Inside, a brush, a Bible, and a folded scarf. She wore that, he said. I know. Looked better on her. June picked up the brush. Bristles bent, hair still caught in the teeth. She screamed in here, she said. She prayed. She begged. Sam sighed. Your mama made things hard. You made things final. Don't flatter yourself. She made choices. You gave her none. She chose you. June froze. Sam's voice softened. She had a name for you before you were born. June's throat tightened. Say it. June. She turned around. She said she wanted something quiet, something soft, something that could grow without fear. You didn't let her grow. She grew wild. I tried to tame it. You buried it. I loved her. You owned her. He paused. I didn't hurt her. You broke her. She broke herself. June crossed to the mirror, dust rings around the edge. She stared into it. She saw herself here, she whispered. Every day. She was beautiful. You never let her leave. She never tried hard enough. June looked at her reflection. She tried. I remember. You were a baby. I remember. Sam stepped closer to the door. You don't know what it was like then. I know what it is now. He let out a breath. You think she was the only one? June's voice dropped. How many? He said nothing. Answer me. Does it matter? She clenched her fists. To them? Yeah. You came here looking for the truth. This is it. You're proud. I'm still here, ain't I? You think that's strength? I think survival counts for something. June picked up the Bible, flipped through the pages. names scribbled in the margins, some crossed out. She was trying to hold on to something, she said. She held on to me. She wanted out. Sam's voice thinned. You sound like her. That scares you. Excites me. June dropped the Bible. It thudded. Sam didn't flinch. I'm not hers, she said. Number, you're mine. June turned her back. I walked to the dresser again, opened the top drawer, empty. The bottom stuck. She yanked hard. It groaned open. Inside was a broken comb, a photograph torn in half, and a matchbox. Light won't help, he said. She took the matchbox anyway. You're not walking out of here. No, you think this is some justice story? Some revenge thing? No. Then what? June touched the mirror again. Memory. You're not strong enough. I don't have to be. He stepped closer to the door. You're gonna rot in there. So did she. You're not her. She smiled. You keep saying that. Sam's hand hit the door once, hard. June waited. The footsteps faded down the stairs. She turned back to the mirror, looked herself in the eye, then she picked up the brush, broke it in half. Sharp wood exposed. She jabbed it into her palm. Blood welled fast. She smeared it across the glass. One word, I know them well. Then she sat on the edge of the bed. Same place Ruth sat. Same silence. Same blood on the walls. They came at dusk. The ground was soft, the air stiff. The old church leaned east, paint peeled, windows missing. The bell was gone. Eli stepped past the overgrowth first. Reverend Cale followed, caned, scraping gravel. Neither spoke. They didn't have to. The well stood behind the chapel like it always had. Stone throat, rope long gone, wood cover cracked through the middle. Cale stopped 5 feet back. I told her not to run here, he said. Eli crouched near the edge. She trusted you. She didn't know what I'd done. Eli pulled the cover aside. It groaned, rotten and damp. The smell rose slowly. Earth, mildew, something else underneath. You sure? Eli asked. Cale nodded once. She told me secrets. I didn't carry them right. Eli reached into the shadows. His flashlight clicked on. The beam fell deep, caught the shimmer of metal, something pale curled in the dirt. Bone, Eli said. Femur, small. She was small. Eli climbed in. His boots hit the bottom with a wet thud. He knelt, swept dirt aside. A rusted locket gleamed near the bone. He picked it up, cracked it open. Ruth's picture still there, eyes worn out by water. On the other side, a tiny photo of a baby, blurry, smiling. June. She tried to bury it all, Cale said from above. She didn't bury this, Eli said. Someone else did. Eli dug more. His fingers hit something flat. Metal. He pulled it out. A sheriff's badge, blackened. The edges melted, the center warped. Sam's, he whispered. Or yours, Cale said. Eli looked up, heart thudding. What? She wore it once, Cale said. Just to feel strong, just for a picture. I remember. Eli stared at the badge. I never knew. You weren't meant to. Eli stood, breathing heavy. You said the fire wasn't real. It was. Just told backward. What the hell does that mean? She burned the truth, not herself. Eli climbed out. His hands shook. The badge hit the ground. She faked it? He asked. She lit a fire, threw in a dress, bloodied it, left the rest to rumor. And the body? Wasn't hers. Eli backed up. Who? Cale's face was pale. A girl named Esther run away. Sam found her first. Jesus. They made Ruth clean it up, bury her, pretend it was her. She stayed quiet. She was promised safety, June, a way out. But Sam never let go. Eli wiped sweat from his brow. So Ruth came here. I tried to hide. She asked me to guard the well. I didn't. You let her die. I let her be forgotten. Eli's jaw clenched. No more. He turned back to the well, looked into it like it might speak. She's doing what Ruth couldn't, Cale said. Eli stared at him. June, Cale said. She's not just looking for the truth. She's reckoning. Eli bent down, picked up the locket. She's in danger. She's always been. You think Sam knows? Sam always knows. Eli stood straight. Then it's my turn. He walked past the church, past the bones, past the man who betrayed Ruth in the name of peace. Cale didn't follow. He just whispered, You brought her back. Eli didn't stop. The wind shifted. Ash blew from the edge of the woods. Somewhere far off, a bell rang with no tower, and under it all, the quiet sound of something rising, not buried, waiting. June stood at the edge of the porch, boots wet with creek mud, shotgun slung low but steady. Her hair stuck to her cheek. The wind had died, but the sky was still the color of old bruises. She knocked once. The door opened slowly. Sam filled the frame. No gun, just a half smile and a white apron. "You're early," he said. "Didn't want you to finish dessert." He stepped back. "You want to come in or just shoot from the porch?" She stepped inside. The air smelled of pork fat and cornbread. The table was set. One plate, one glass, one knife. "You cooking for me or for guilt?" she asked. He shut the door behind her. "I don't cook for ghosts." June moved to the table. "Then you better get used to hauntin'." Sam nodded toward the chair. "Sit. I'll stand." He walked to the counter, poured tea from a sweating jar. "You know how to use that thing?" June didn't answer. He turned, sipped. "Shotguns ain't for conversation. They're for correction," he smirked. "Has your mom ever taught you manners?" "She taught me silence. You taught her fear." His face twitched barely. "Ruth was wild. She brought that on herself." "She brought you June. You buried her anyway." He sat, fork in hand. "Your mama lied. She lied to survive." He sliced the pork slowly. "You know what she said the night she left?" June's fingers tightened on the stock. "She never left." Sam chewed. "She said I wasn't like Eli. Said I'd never understand love." June stepped closer. "Did you?" He swallowed hard. "I understood control. That's more useful out here." She raised the shotgun an inch. "Is that what this is now? Control?" He looked at the barrel, then at her. "You think you're ready for this?" "I think I'm all that's left." Silence crawled across the table. He poured more tea. It splashed, shook. "You look like her," he said. "I know." "Too much like her." "That's the point." He leaned back. "You're not strong enough." "I don't need to be. I just need to finish what she started." He stood, napkin falling from his lap. "You think killing me fixes this town?" "No," June said. "I think it fixes you." He stepped forward. "You don't pull that trigger, I'll let you walk." "You let my mother scream." "She made noise," he said. "Noise ain't the same." She begged. "You weren't there." "I don't have to be. I hear her every time I sleep." His hands twitched near his belt. "Don't," she warned. He didn't stop. "Eli's weak. Always was. He should have put me down years ago." June's voice dropped. "He's not the one here now." "You think Ruth would want this?" She wanted peace. "This ain't peace." "No," June said. "It's the end." He moved fast. My hand reached the drawer. She fired. The shot ripped through the room, through him, through time. Sam fell into the table, knocked the tea, the plate, the last supper of a man who never repented. His body hit hard, slumped sideways. Blood pooled with the corn syrup from the pie he never touched. June stood still. Smoke drifted from the barrel. Her chest didn't rise. Her eyes didn't blink. Outside, gravel crunched. Eli pushed through the door. He stopped when he saw her. The table still shook. Sam's badge lay in the puddle, face down. Eli looked at her. "He reached for the drawer," she said. "I know." He didn't beg. He wouldn't. Eli stepped over the blood, took the badge. I looked at it like it was rusty. "You found the list?" he asked. June nodded toward the wall, pinned to the wood with a kitchen knife. Names, dates, women. He stared. "She wrote it before she burned the dress," June said. "Ruth." She knew no one had listened, so she left it here. Eli looked at the last name, Ruth Lanton, underlined twice. He folded the paper, pocketed it. "What now?" June asked. "We bury the real body," Eli said. "Then we burn the lies." "You think they'll believe us?" He looked at her. "They already do. I just needed someone to say it first." June stared at Sam, his face slack. His blood is cooling. "I didn't flinch," she said. "I did." She handed him the shotgun. "I ain't done," she whispered. "No," Eli said. "You just started." They walked out together. The door swung open behind them. The wind picked up. Inside, the badge drifted back into the syrup. The house held its breath, and the table stopped shaking. The shovel hit soft earth. One thunk, then another. Eli dug with steady hands, back tight, shirt soaked through. He didn't look at the bones laid out beside him. June crouched beside the small wooden box, fingers on the locket, eyes on the horizon. It didn't rain. It never rained, but the wind moved differently, like it carried something off. "Shouldn't you doin' this?" she said. "It's me. She ain't yours to bury. She ain't yours to mourn. She's both." Eli didn't argue. He just dug. "Thought you'd cry," she said. He stopped. "Thought you'd scream." June picked up a bone. Wrist. Small. Light. She fought hard. She lost. Not this time. Eli kept digging. The hole got deeper. The smell of earth rose. Old, clean, strange, after all this time. "You think she'll rest now?" June asked. "No," he said, "but we might." They didn't mark the spot with stone. June scattered marigold seeds, dug her nails into the dirt, let the wind push her hair sideways. "She liked yellow," Eli said. "She told me in a dream." "You believe that?" "I have to." He stood up, wiped his hands on his jeans. "People'll talk." "They already are." "Not to your face." They never did. The cemetery sat still. The old church tower loomed behind them. The bell above rusted in place, rope shredded. June stared at it like it owed her something. "Who rang it last?" she asked. "Ruth." "When?" "The day she ran." June stood. "Then it ought to ring again. You want people to know." "They already know." "No," Eli said. "They suspect. That's different. I want them to hear her." Eli glanced at the tower. "Bell's been dead 20 years. June started walking. So was she. Inside the church, dust hung thick. Pews broken, cross tilted. The rope was coiled in the corner, frayed but still there. June touched it, ran it through her fingers, felt the sting. "She used to pray here?" she asked. "She used to shout here." June looked at him. "What did she shout?" "Names." "Yours?" "No," Eli said. "Hi." June gripped the rope. "Then this is mine to pull." "Don't," Eli said. "It won't sound right." June yanked. The bell groaned. Once. Then again. Then it found its voice. A long, aching ring spilled into the sky. It cut through the dry air like a blade. Windows across the road opened. Doors cracked. Children stilled. Old men looked down. "They hear it?" she asked. "They feel it." She rang it again. Across town, shutters slammed. Women whispered. Men pulled hats low. The name Ruth slid back into the air like it never left. Outside, the marigold seeds caught the wind, spun, fell, settled. Eli leaned on the railing. "You think she'd be proud?" June let go of the rope. "I think she'd be loud." A boy stood across the road, no older than 10, watching them. He didn't blink. "Who's he?" June asked. "His daddy's on that list." June nodded. "He'll need a new one." "A new list?" "A new name." Eli took something from his jacket, folded paper, yellowed, soft at the creases. "She left this?" "She wrote it the night before she vanished." He handed it to her. June unfolded slowly. The words were tight, slanted, pressed deep, like she meant them to last. "She wrote it for me. For someone who'd listen." June read it aloud. "They won't let me live, but maybe one day someone will say my name and not flinch." Eli looked away. "Does she say anything else?" June asked. He nodded. "It ends with your name." June looked up. "Then write it again." They sat on the church steps as the sky dimmed. No clouds, no threat of rain, but the dust settled like something sacred. A woman passed by, veil pulled low, hand tight on her granddaughter's. She didn't speak, just paused, bowed her head, walking on. "You think she knew?" June asked. "She carried it," Eli said. "Like my mama did." He handed her a pen. No paper. She pulled the list from his pocket, flipped it, wrote one line. "Just one name?" he asked. "For now." Eli read it. Ruth Marigold Lanton. June looked at the marigolds growing near the grave. She didn't choose silence. It was forced. Eli folded the paper. "Not anymore." The wind shifted again. The boy across the street still stood there, watching. "Tell him to come here," June said. "He won't." "I'm not like his father." "He doesn't know that." June stood. I walked toward the boy, slow, careful. She knelt, said something Eli couldn't hear. The boy nodded, handed her something, an old key wrapped in red thread. June turned, held it up. "Yours?" she asked. Eli shook his head. "Ain't mine." "Then it's hers." She walked back, tucked it into her boot. Back to the house, Eli asked. June looked toward the horizon. No. Where then? Where they're still hiding. Who? June met his eyes. The rest of the names. Eli looked out at the town. Quiet again. The bell was still echoing faint in his ears. They won't welcome you. I don't need a welcome, June said. I need justice. He nodded. Then you'll need help. Are you offering? I'm asking. She smiled. First time in days. Maybe ever. Then start with this, she said. Write her story. All of it. You want them to read it? No, June said. I want them to feel it. He looked at the paper. I looked at her. She came back through you. She never left, June said. She just waited. They walked past the grave one more time. The dirt is already settling. The wind brushed over the petals. Somewhere behind them, the bell rang one last time. No one pulled. But it rang. Clear, sharp, certain, and the wind carried her name like it always had. Ruth, Ruth, Ruth. The porch creaked under Eli's boots. He sat slowly, like the air might break if he moved too quickly. June was already there, knees pulled to her chest, eyes on the horizon where nothing moved except heat. You sure you want to read it? She asked. No. Then why'd you bring it out? He held the folded letter in both hands. It was yellow, edges curled, no envelope, no stamp, just her name across the top in his crooked hand. I thought I buried it, he said. June didn't move. But you didn't. He opened it slowly. Paper cracked. I wrote it the week after she vanished. Never sent it. Couldn't find where. She was already gone. She wasn't. Eli said. Not really. June turned toward him. Read it. Eli looked at the paper, cleared his throat. Ruth, if you're reading this, it means I didn't say it when I should have. And if you ain't, well, I'll say it anyway, because the silence is getting louder. June leaned her head on the porch post. The wood was warm, familiar, too still. Eli kept reading. You were right. About Ashford, about Sam, about the way folks forget things when forgetting's easier than fixing. He paused, looked up. I didn't know how deep it went. He said. You did, June said. You just didn't want to admit it. He nodded once. Yeah. He looked down again. I saw the bruises. I saw the way you stared at the road like it owed you something. And I let you think you were crazy. That's the part I can't stomach. June didn't speak. Her eyes stayed on the letter. I heard the sheriff that night. Heard him in your room. I heard the door slam. Heard you cry. And I didn't move. I told myself it wasn't my place. That it wasn't my fight. But it was. Eli stopped, rubbed his thumb over the crease. I should have burned it, he said. June said nothing. I kept it because I was too much a coward to send it. You kept it because you weren't done. He looked at her. You think I deserve peace? She shook her head. I think you deserve the truth. He went back to the letter. I thought I'd see you again. That you'd come storming back through the door with that fire in your mouth. I waited, year after year, until I convinced myself you never existed at all, just a ghost wearing perfume. June spoke quietly. I used to think she made herself up. You said that before. She felt too big to be real. She was real. Eli shifted in his chair. The porch groaned again. If this letter finds you, I hope you're somewhere green, somewhere the wind doesn't carry your name like a threat. I hope you're barefoot. I hope your daughter's got your laugh. June stiffened. You wrote that? I didn't. Know you then. But I hoped. She swallowed. She did have a laugh. Eli looked at her. June's eyes stayed on the yard. She'd laugh like she knew something you didn't. Like you were catching up. Eli folded the letter halfway. Let it sit on his knee. Does she ever talk about me? June nodded. Once. What did she say? She said, I had a brother once. He stayed. Eli's jaw clenched. I don't deserve that kindness. No, June said, but you need it. He opened the letter again. I should have set fire to that whole town. I should have dragged you out myself. But I was scared. Of them. Of you. Of what it meant to try and fail. He lowered the page, voice tighter now. Failure doesn't go away. It just changes its face. June stood. I walked down the porch steps barefoot. Dry grass cracked under her heels. She crouched by the marigolds and touched one gently. She grew these behind the church. Eli nodded. She said they were loud flowers. They are. Eli stayed seated. The letter dangled from his hand. Why didn't you burn it? She asked again. Because I didn't want to forget how bad I failed her. That ain't forgiveness. I don't need forgiveness. Yes, June said. You do, but not from her. He looked at her. My eyes are tired. Then who? June walked back up, sat beside him again. Close. From yourself. I don't know how. You start with the truth. He held up the paper. This is it. She nodded. Then keep reading. He looked back down. There's a girl out there somewhere, maybe with your eyes, maybe with your name. I hope she never hears silence like the one you lived with. I hope someone listens when she screams. He closed his eyes. The words sat in the air like dust. I didn't listen. But I will, June said. I have to. Eli looked at her. What happens now? We plant more flowers. That's it? No, she said. We plant them where they said we couldn't. He almost smiled. That's what she'd want. She wanted people to look her in the eye. And not flinch. Eli folded the letter carefully, tucked it back in his shirt pocket. Are you keeping it? I am. Why? He looked out at the land. Dry. Still. Because it's the only truth I ever wrote. They sat in silence for a while. The sun sank low. Chickens stirred in the yard. A dog barked somewhere far off. The wind picked up just enough to carry the scent of dirt and rust and old lilac. Tell me about her, Eli said. June blinked. You knew her. I knew who they let me see. I want to know the rest. She leaned back on her hands. She used to dance while she cleaned. No music, just in her head. Said it made her bones feel less trapped. Eli smiled. That sounds like her. She'd never let me wear shoes in the house. Said it kept the outside out. What about bedtime? She told stories, June said, but never happy ones. Why not? She didn't trust him. Eli looked down. Does she ever say why? Because happy stories lie. Eli sighed. She had every reason not to trust. June nodded. But she trusted me. He looked over. And you brought her back. No, June said. She brought herself. I just answered. They stayed like that as the sky darkened. No lights came on, no cars passed, just the two of them and the memory between. You gonna write her back? June asked. She's not waiting anymore. You sure? No, he said, but I'll write it anyway. She stood. I looked at the porch light. Does it still work? Maybe. Let's turn it on. Why? So she knows where to come home to. Eli stood beside her, flipped the switch. The bulb flickered, glowed, stayed on. June smiled. Looks like she never really left, she said. And inside the mirror behind the screen door, something shimmered. Not a ghost, not a shadow, just a girl, watching and smiling back.